For some time, we've been worried, wondering whether it would be August when there's another attempt at a sort of Trump riot, coup, insurrection thing in Washington, D.C. And thankfully, it did not happen in August. There were questions about the first half of August and then maybe the second half of August, and it didn't happen. There now actually seems to be a sort of more date certain, and that date is September 18th, on which it is increasingly looking as though there is going to be an attempt to do another January 6th on September 18th. The Associated Press is reporting that, per their sources, intelligence shows extremists plan to attend a rally at the Capitol on September 18. Writing, far-right extremist groups like the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers are planning to attend a rally later this month at the U.S. Capitol designed to demand, quote, justice for the hundreds of people charged in connection with January's insurrection. Now, understand that they are wanting to protest what happened on January 6th in the sense that the alleged terrorists are being treated too harshly. That's what the September 18th group has a problem with. Very dangerous already. The officials have been discussing security plans that involve, As a result, U.S. Capitol Police have been discussing in the recent weeks whether the large perimeter fence that was erected after the January riot needs to go back up. The officials have been discussing security plans that involve reconstructing the fence, as well as another plan that does not involve a fence. They were not authorized to speak publicly and spoke to the AP under the condition of anonymity. The planned September 18 rally at the Capitol comes as a jittery Washington has seen a series of troubling one-off incidents, including most recently a man who parked a pickup near the Library of Congress, said he had a bomb and a detonator. I was on break when that happened. Among the most concerning events, a series of unexploded pipe bombs placed around the Capitol ahead of the January 6th insurrection remain unexplained and no suspect has been charged. That story's almost been forgotten completely. Pipe bombs around D.C. We don't know who put them there. Nobody charged. On Capitol Hill, the politics around fencing in the iconic building and its grounds were extremely difficult for lawmakers. Many said they disliked closing off access, but acknowledged the security it provided. Yeah, and unfortunately, and we're going to talk about what might happen on 18th from a law enforcement standpoint, anything you do to try to mitigate risk for the 18th will be called authoritarian by the right. If you put the fence back up because of the threats from these very people will say, this is part of the authoritarian left locking down Washington, D.C. You really can't win. And so you have to do simply what is indicated by the intelligence you have from the standpoint of safety. The deadly riot overwhelmed the police force. The planned presence of extremist groups is concerning because while members and associates of the Oath Keepers and Proud Boys make up just a fraction of the nearly 600 people charged in the riot, they are facing some of the most serious charges brought so far, include allegations that they conspired to block the certification of Joe Biden's victory. Several Oath Keepers have pleaded guilty to conspiracy charges and are cooperating in cases against fellow extremists. Officials prepare for this month's rally, Yogananda Pittman, the Capitol Police official who led intel operations for the agency when rioters descended on the building, has been put back in charge of intelligence. Capitol Police Chief Tom Manger said the department is closely monitoring September 18. So it looks like there is a really good shot that something is going to go down on the 18th. Are the police going to be fully prepared in advance this time? Let's hope so. Is the National Guard going to be there or standing by in a reasonable way where it doesn't take hours for them to get there this time? Let's hope so. Now, just for a moment, consider if this were rather than sort of white militia types, if these were Muslim groups, for example, or black groups, for example, would this be handled the same way? I think the answer is obviously not. Now, those on the right will say it wouldn't be handled the same way because these people aren't really a risk. But if it were Muslims or black people, they would be a risk. That's what the right would say. We would say that the perception is very, very different from law enforcement. And we know that it is from the data that we've looked at for many years and that we've even done long form videos on in detail. We know that the perception of threat is very different. That's weird. So, a hair just got caught in my shirt there. The perception of threat is very different from law enforcement, in part depending on the identity of the individuals involved. Whether you look at it as fortunate or unfortunate, I think it is far more likely police will be better prepared this time. And that is going to be part of the persecution complex, the victimhood complex that whoever's going to show up on September 18th ultimately will use. They'll say, look at what they did. They sent in the big guns. They sent in the cavalry because they are targeting us. This is what the ralliers / rioters, if they become that, will say. So it's sort of a lose-lose, but if it's lose-lose in the PR sense either way, then you've got to do what is going to keep Washington, D.C. and people safe. And let's hope that this time they are prepared. One of our sponsors is Blue Block's blue light glasses. I've sometimes had issues falling asleep at night, eventually realized some of it might be coming from the blue light emitted by my phone and computer screens. Peer-reviewed studies show blue light can suppress the hormone melatonin, which can make it hard to fall asleep because your sleep rhythms are disturbed. I've seen a lot of improvement since I started using blue light glasses from Blue Blocks. Most companies make blue light glasses in a mass-produced way with no quality standards, but Blue Block's glasses are made in actual optics labs in their Australian headquarters. They have over 40 modern frames you can choose from. They have a prescription version, non-prescription, even reading glasses. And for every pair of glasses Blue Block sells, they give a pair of reading glasses to someone in need. You'll get 20% off when you go to blueblocks.com/Pacman. The link is right underneath the video, and there's also free shipping worldwide on orders over $115.